His financial advisor, Ryan Moore of Edward Jones, member SIPC, located in Deer Park, Washington, reporting for KCHW, Northern Lights Public Radio.
Scott?
Yeah.
Oh, I can't hear anything.
There we go. I had our mics down. All right. Tension's mounting.
Okay.
Here we go. Intro music. Here we go. Please stand by. Good morning. It's KCHW 102.7, looking at 7:36 live from his fabulous home in Chewelah, Washington. Mr. Mike Benz. Good morning, Mike.
Oh, yeah. We call it the Chewelah Chalet.
The chalet. Sounds fancy.
Doesn't it sound fancy?
Yes. And
sometimes, words can be deceiving. How's that sound?
That's right. And you got Scott live from the studios of KCHW in Chewelah, Washington, which are pretty darn fancy themselves, thanks to Mr. Lynn Husby. Thank you very much, Lynn.
Oh, yeah. I haven't been in there in a while. Any big changes?
Absolutely no. And in fact, it's a mess because I've been the only one here, for 2 months now, and I'm kind of piggy.
So instead of a bachelor pad, it's a bachelor studio.
Yeah. And
okay.
It's definitely messy. I got some work to do before next Monday when the DJs come back, or they're going to walk in and go, "Wow, Scott."
That's right. I know I'm coming back. Is 100% of them going to be able to come back?
I'm going each person one at a time, talking to them, seeing if they're comfortable with it. So. Because most of us here at KCHW are elderly.
Easy now.
Easy.
Chronologically advantaged.
Yes. All right. This morning, of course, live on 102.7 FM. You can also catch us on our YouTube channel. We have a guest. Who is that, Mike?
It is Barney Brockwell from WorkSource, Washington, and Barney should be joining us around 8 o'clock.
All right. Now, Barney's involved with a lot of different stuff. Do you know for sure what is he going to talk about, jobs or car pay, or what's he talking about today?
Basically, he emailed me and said, "Mike, I got some things we need to talk about." so we're going to wing this.
All right. So we can't even tease it properly.
That's right. Yeah. Well, I'm sure WorkSource, of course, is part of the unemployment or ESD chain, and so I'm sure there's a lot of things happening up there. And Barney is a supervisor of, I can't remember which department actually. But very committed to working, with people that are looking for different employment opportunities. And so, in today's world, I think it's a message worth hearing. So we'll see what he has to say.
All right. And speaking of unemployment, we'll talk about this a little later. They've got the plan out from the House, Democrats' new $3 trillion economic plan. And that definitely has some big news in it if it goes through for people on unemployment that will take a lot of worry out of their lives if it passes.
Exactly.
So, of course, they said it's a 2,000-page plan. So, there's a lot of pork pushed in it, too.
Yeah, there'll be, 1,899 pages of work, and then the rest is substance.
Yeah. Yes, $2 billion to study how mosquitoes mate.
Yeah.
How did that get in there?
I often wondered what would happen if they actually only had to work on one piece of legislation at a time and be accountable to what it said.
Yeah, imagine
hiding
that.
what they want.
Quick weather forecast before we roll into the news this morning. Let's see, showers today on the forecast. I'm loving it. 80% chance of rain, 63 and 43. Boy, during the breaks of rain last night, you could just see like this 1-inch ring of yellow pollen all the way around the mud puddles. And I was just like, oh, yeah. And it really bothers me. You think, oh, it came down out of the air. But it takes about 3, I watch this because I'm so allergic to it. It takes about 3 good rains for it to actually break down. And because if you'll notice, if it stops raining, all the mud puddles around Chewelah have this yellow ring around them. Well, then the wind kicks up and puts it all right back into the air. So as long as you're seeing the yellow ring, it isn't broke down enough yet to get into the ground. So
get into the ground. Yeah. Well, I'm on the same page as you there. I know I had to run yesterday to get something, and when you walk out and you look through the windshield and it's a yellow film,
Yeah, I went to the Firebird, it's black. And I went and reached for the door, and I saw I was like, Yeah, I'm not driving this car. And I went to the other one because it had been down the highway and was all blown off. I didn't even want to touch the door because I'll do something stupid just like the coronavirus, and I'll touch that door handle and I'll get in the car and then something will itch and I'll rub my face and I just put that pollen on my face. And it's just bad.
Exactly. Yeah.
Now, we're going to have some more rain for Thursday, too. There's a change here in the forecast. 40% for Thursday. Afternoon showers on Thursday, 61 and 45. Partly cloudy for Friday, 20% chance of rain with a high of 66. Mostly cloudy for Saturday, 70, but no rain in the forecast. And now 60% chance of rain for Sunday with a high of 65. So I'm liking this. At least for now.
I can tell you from a golf course perspective, from a ground standpoint, we're liking the rain because we're already starting to see where it's drying out. The golfers don't particularly care for it for obvious reasons, but we'd rather see a little bit more rain now, and so we can kind of stockpile our reserves, I guess, for lack of a better term. Mm-hmm. Yeah, the rain is always nice as far as I'm concerned.
Well, the only thing I had pulled up today was the House Democrats bill because I knew you'd have a lot of stuff to discuss, Mike. Where would you like to start today?
Well, actually, I thought I would give you a little bit of insights on dealing with this phase 2 guidance that's coming out of Washington State.
Okay.
The areas that I'm involved, of course, are on the restaurant side and the golf side. So on the restaurant side, there's a guidance out there that there's 13 different things that a restaurant has to do to be able to be open. And a lot of them are sanitizing type things, which you would expect. And I think the restaurants are already doing probably 100% of that, frankly, even on the takeout side. And so basically the big changes are they're going to allow dining or seating. The challenges with that is they can only seat up to 5 people per table. And then the tables have to be at least 6 feet apart with an occupant sitting there. So I was trying to figure that out. So the tables are going to be about 9 to 10 feet apart to be able to do that. And that's going to be a challenge, of course, in the restaurants because you got to have room to be able to do that. The other side of it is based upon your fire code occupancy levels, it can't be more than 50% of what those levels are. And so in our particular case, what we're doing at the Rusty Putter, and I'm sure Sporties and everybody else is doing this, is you're trying to maximize your floor space, given what you can do, and then you've got to take a look at your occupant limits and make sure that you're not violating that 50% rule. So
do you think I think takeout's still going to be a big deal then?
I think it is. In fact, I was kind of, in hindsight, I'm glad that takeout was the only option for a while because I think a lot of people didn't realize or appreciate the idea that almost every restaurant in town, you can, in fact, everyone I'm aware of, you can get takeout. So, and I know in our particular case, it's always been there, but never been promoted. And so by getting people used to it, now if you don't want to go inside to dine, or you're just in a quick hurry, or you want to take something home for a family meal after work or whatever, you can call ahead and still get takeout. The other big change will be all diners have to be, you have to have their name, telephone number, and or email and time they were there recorded. Yeah, you can imagine the Facebook feeds on what people think of that. But the issue behind that is a couple things. First of all, the whole point behind it is if there is a COVID-19 outbreak and you say you were at the Rusty Putter at this particular time, then we'll have a record that we can provide the tracers of the people that were in the restaurant during that period of time, or during that day, basically, one form or another. And so the tracing aspect of things is trying to figure out who potentially is infected. And these registers have to be kept for 30 days, and then they could be destroyed. In our particular case, we're going to have a 30-day window, and then we'll just start shredding them. So once the 30 days is up, then the 31st day, which would be the first day of the original 30, that'll be shredded. There is no requirement that we provide those to the state. There is a requirement we have to keep them internally. And we had to do the same thing on the golf when we opened up the golf about a week ago. And I think once it's explained to people, the vast majority of them get it. But, there are those people that, it's a freedom issue and they don't like the idea that people know where they were and things like that. But then I think about it, and every time you use a credit card, that's a recorded transaction. So, and those never go away. And so at any point in time, somebody could subpoena that information or request that information from a credit card company. And Scott, they can trace where you were probably for the last 10 years easily.
Well, it came out that all over the globe. The government's been tracking. If you had COVID, they were tracking your cell phone, and you didn't even know, making sure you were staying home. So if you're worried, I'm sorry, everybody on the planet, anybody on the planet can find your name, phone number, and email address.
Oh yeah,
you're not hiding nothing.
I read these Facebook feeds, and I understand where people are coming from a privacy standpoint, and people don't need to know that information. On the other hand, you're right. I mean, I could look you up on the internet, and I can find out where you live. I can find out what your phone number is. I mean, there's a lot of information that's available already anyway.
And if I want to pay a little extra, I can find out your credit score.
Exactly. I mean, and so it's just different. And then I think about, have you ever been to a restaurant where you had to make reservations?
Yeah.
Okay, well,
they know where I live.
I don't know about you, but when I call into a restaurant to make a reservation, I had to give them my name and phone number, right?
Yeah.
And the time I needed to be there so they could reserve it. So what's the difference?
There is no difference. I just hate showing up at a specific time because the assassins are always waiting for me.
Okay, Scott's going to be over at this restaurant at this time, so let's poison his food.
James Bond. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. But, so that's going to be a change. If you have outside seating, the rules change up a little bit, but not enough. I mean, the outside seating, you still need to have the 10 feet distancing. I guess you don't have to have the 10 feet distancing, but in our particular case, we're going to keep them both the same. You can't, things like if you have a bar with where you can sit at the bar, there's no bar stools allowed. You can't do that. If there's more than one staff person, then the staff person that's with the public has to have a mask. It could be a cloth mask or a paper mask, but they have to have some kind of a mask. And that's going to be a little bit of a challenge, I think, especially when the weather gets hot, if this thing's still going.
And they're claustrophobic.
The what?
They're claustrophobic. Some of them are hard to breathe through, that I've tried and stuff. But
right.
I got this really cool one with has Taz on both cheeks, to the Tasmanian devil. Got that from your wife.
I know. And mine's this plain green, army thing looking thing.
I think she knew that I needed something that was either cool or childish.
Well, yeah, Loretta made all these, and she says, "Well, which ones fits Scott?" And I go, "Well, the one that's cartoonish."
Thank you. I appreciate. I'll take that as a compliment.
Yeah, but like we were talking earlier, we were discussing what size does she need to make, and I said, "Well, his head's either is smaller than a watermelon and bigger than a grape."
I made you a sweater. I sized the head hole with a watermelon.
Right. But anyway, on the restaurant side, there will be some changes. Single serve menus, which means it'll be paper menus and then thrown away, which I have a tough time with, because if you have a regular menu that's in a vinyl type of a brochure type thing, then those can be disinfected every time. But, it's kind of like I told somebody that was having concerns about it. And I said, "Well, I want to ask you a question. The last time you went to an airport, did you have to go through TSA?"
Yeah.
And if you were going to argue with TSA, where do you think you're going to get on that plane?
No.
Yeah. So whether you like it or not, there's so much of our lives that are that way already. It's just that this seems like another freedom that's going to be taken away. And it really isn't, in my opinion. It's just something that's been the way business has been done for a long, long time. It's just now in your face, I guess. So, but I can tell you, if the restaurants are following the rules, they've never been as clean or sanitized than they've been probably the life of that restaurant.
And feel safer, definitely. Yeah.
Feel safer for everything. And then on the golf side, this is my typical wait for state government. They are loosening the rules a little bit more, so 4 people can play at a time. We know that for sure. But beyond that, the next tagline says, additional guidance will be provided on Monday. What day is this?
It's Wednesday.
We're still waiting for that additional guidance. So, and actually, we belong to the Washington State Golf Association, which is the association for golf courses in the state. And Jason reached out to them and haven't heard back from them. But if you go to their website, there's nothing that's been updated. So it tells me they haven't gotten anything from the state. So, and that's been a common complaint, just as I read things, is the state does these changes and says additional guidance coming, but it's kind of like the cart before the horse. So you sit there in limbo. Okay, we'd like to make these changes. We've probably got to add more staff. We've got to definitely add more services. We got to change the way we record things. And on the golf course side, our tee times are structured a week or 2 in advance. So now we need to figure out how do we contact these people and try to group them up a little better so we can get more golfers on the course. All that's got to happen, but we're still waiting for additional guidance.
All right.
So, and then other businesses, predominantly things like hair salons, retail businesses on phase 2, they're all being opened up too. And some of the, I noticed last night on my feed I get from Tri-County Economic Development that those guidelines were released last night, which is nice. I think most people are targeting Friday as an opening. So, so we're getting there. I mean,
and you said the Rusty Putter will be open for dining on Friday as well. Is that correct?
Starting on Friday, the entire operation will be open. It won't be really limited, with the exception of we can only have X number of people in there because of the way it's got to be structured. So, yeah, the Rusty Putter will have in-house dining, both, and if weather is conducive, the patio will be open. And then, of course, takeout will be available. And then because of the pandemic stuff, Brittany and Sean developed a really great to-go menu. And so that we'll probably promote that out there a little bit more, too. So, yeah, we're actually looking forward to it. Believe it or not, Sean had a staff meeting about 2 weeks ago, I guess. And I happened to show up just to drop some stuff off. And he'd called in everybody that we had let go last fall or couldn't rehire earlier this year. And 100% of them showed up and said, hey, I'm ready to go to work.
All right.
So,
all right. Like that. So Barney's going to be calling in a few minutes. Real quick, I know you had some news. One of our local businesses changing names.
It is, yeah. I was really glad to see this. It popped up on Facebook yesterday. Chavino's, which is no secret. They had the for sale sign up on the side of the building there. Well, as of, I believe, the 27th of May is going to change names. It's going to be called The Q. And it's going to specialize in barbecue.
Woohoo!
Yeah, that's kind of what I did. I liked it, of course, and then I responded back saying a great compliment to the other restaurants that are in the Chewelah area.
Definitely.
And so I'm looking forward to that. Loretta and I both, of course, we lived in Texas for 8.5, almost 9 years. And Texas is, famous or infamous for their barbecue. And so we're really looking forward.
Yeah, I bet you at the end of the email you sent, it said, and by the way, I've lived in Texas. If you need a sampler, call Mike.
I really thought about that because I'm going to smoke a brisket this Saturday. And
is that what you call it, Mike?
Easy now. No, I've got a 5-pound brisket I'll be smoking anyway.
Sorry.
But because we really miss that, because that was a big thing down there, and it's really competitive down there. In fact, one of the things I've scored is there's a famous barbecue place down there called Franklin's, and I think it's on Congress Avenue, and they literally sell out every day by like 2:00, and we're not talking limited amounts. I mean, it's huge. And it's a walk-up place. I mean, it's not it's inside seating type place, and they have probably the best barbecue sauce, in my opinion, in the world. And I've got that recipe.
Have you eaten at the barbecue place in Kettle Falls?
I have not. Well, I have, but I've done it
at Chautauqua.
Their trailer. They have their food trailer. It's really good too.
Yeah. You just say so I'd never really paid attention to the word brisket or knew what it was or anything like that. But I ordered one there for lunch for the first time, and literally by the time lunch was over, I thought I was going to have a seizure. I was so in love, and it was so good.
Well, it used to be called one of those garbage cuts. I mean, because it's basically the chest of the cow, and people have figured out how to take something that traditionally wasn't a piece of meat that most people would even utilize and make it into a very gourmet type barbecue. In my opinion,
definitely,
it's really, really good.
And then the casino opening back up. You had some news there too.
Yeah, the other big news is the casino is going to reopen on May 18th. The big news for the casino, it's going to be non-smoking.
What? Really?
Yeah. I read that, and as I'm going through there, I'm thinking, wow. I mean, they're going to have a smoking area outside, but it looks like the casino is going to be non-smoking.
Wow, that's a crazy change.
And in my opinion, because I'm a non-smoker, I think it's a smart move personally, because if they look to the future, and they have to, I think that's a whole different market that would enjoy going to the casino but didn't enjoy the atmosphere where there was smoke.
The other thing is what I see, the times I've went in there is the tenseness of gambling. Is I see people that don't smoking. It's kind of a hand-in-hand thing. It is. And I know people that don't smoke, but because everybody's smoking in the casino, when they go to the casino, they smoke.
Yeah, or if you sit next to somebody that's smoking, you're already smoking.
You're already smoking. So that's going to be the tough part, because, in a whole society thing, it's the way it's moved, and they kind of missed the boat. They were able to skip that. But people are used to that being the only place left on the planet that you can smoke indoors.
Right.
I imagine there'll be some upset people.
Yeah, well, there is. As you can imagine, this was a Facebook post, and the comments were, well, you'll never see me again, to, back to the freedom issues and stuff. And I think the thing that I believe the public needs to appreciate, that if I own a business, I have just as many rights to run that business the way I think it needs to be ran as you have coming in. And I always find it ironic that people that say, don't tread on me for my rights, are more than willing to tell another person what to do.
All right. So we covered that. And what is their opening date?
May 18th.
All right. Let's pause for a minute and go to the phone. It was blinking. I don't know if I missed it. I want to see it. It's KCHW 102.7. You're live on the air. Is this Barney?
It is, gentlemen.
All right.
Good morning.
We've been watching for you to make the lights blink. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Barney Brockwell from WorkSource.
So, Barney, how often have you been in blinking lights?
All right. Big problem here, Barney, is I didn't have a photo of you to throw up on YouTube, so it's kind of like you're not here.
Well, just consider me in stealth mode or something.
Okay.
And,
well, you're still working from home.
Put a picture of someone with a mask on, and that could be any guest.
All right. So I've got the big guy Mike Bentz on Zoom. Say good morning, Mike.
Good morning. Hey, nice hearing your voice, Barney. I haven't heard it in a long time.
It's been far too long since I've heard your dulcet tones, Michael.
Well, no. You should say, I've heard you every Wednesday on KCHW 102.7.
That would be true, but most of the time I'm out of the listening area, and so that makes it a challenge. And I just need to get online and listen to you guys now that I think of it.
That's right. If you have a smartphone, we have apps. Yeah, that you've tried to make an excuse, Barney.
That.
Yeah, you tried to make an excuse, but it's not going to work with Scott.
And you know what, Scott? I've failed you, and I apologize. I will do better.
All right, so you said you're out of the listening area. Where are you going?
Well, I actually have been at our office in Colville about one day a week, and honestly, I'm working, or I'm in the car and on my way to or from. So just not much radio time in my life these days for you or anyone else. So don't take it personally.
Okay, all right, I'll quit picking on you then. So, Mike, I asked him what you were going to talk about today, and he says, I have no idea. He just called me and said, I need to be on the radio.
I've just been jonesing to be back with you guys. Is really what it is. But,
no. It's nice to be missed. It's nice to be missed.
It's be missed indeed. But no, I was hoping to get some time to talk about WorkSource, and you two may have heard something, and the listeners as well, that things are absolutely bizarre these days. The world is a different place, and I know there are almost 4,000 people in the Tri-County area, Stevens, Ponderay, Ferry, and actually we include Lincoln. So in those 4 counties, almost 4,000 people on unemployment.
Wow.
At this moment. And that number is actually as of the end of April. So I just saw those numbers yesterday. And just want to remind people that we are still here. We are still working. We've got programs to help people get through this. And, for those that, it's a real possibility. Your job is going away for good. There are businesses suffering horribly that may end up closing. We have the ability to help you develop new skills. And instead of maybe just a job that gets you by, maybe we can help you to find a career that is a little more solid. And hopefully we never see a situation like this again, but we just don't know. And so we just want to let people know that we are out there, and also for the businesses that are struggling. I've talked last time I was here about, on-the-job training programs where if you're bringing someone new on, and things are starting to open back up slowly but surely, we can, for on-the-job training folks, we can pay as much as 50% of their salary for up to 6 months. And I know that's a real, things are really tight, and every penny counts. There's no cost to the employer.
That's huge.
It is. It goes right to your bottom line. That's massive. If you've got an employee that's starting that, let's say they're going to start next Monday, but they say, hey, can I get an advance on my paycheck? I don't have gas money. I live in Colville, and this job's in Chewela, and I don't have gas to get to work. Get them in touch with us. We have resources available where we can provide a gas voucher until you get your first paycheck. Hey, I had to sell my tools in order to survive during this thing, and now I'm supposed to go back to work, but I don't have tools. We have, again, the ability to help people. We've paid for tools for mechanics, so that we're better off overall to spend a few $100s for some tools so someone can go back to work, as opposed to them staying on unemployment and struggling. So those are the types of programs we've got, and I just want to remind people that we are here and we are available. You can call us at 685-6158 is the main office line, and we'll chat with you and get you in touch with the right person to get you some more help that can hopefully make a difference.
So, Barney, have you ever seen, I can't think of any time in my life, and I'm older than you, maybe Mike will have a comment too, seen the government step up and bolster unemployment so heavily?
The only time I can think of would be when they created it back in the 1930s, during the Great Depression. Yeah, that is the only economic thing I'm aware of in this country that's comparable to what we're going through now.
Mike, go ahead.
Yeah, I think, the dramatically, I mean, Barney's right. I mean, there's been periods of time in my life where the unemployment has crept up into the double digits. And predominantly there, though, most of the government help was either in the form of vouchers like Barney's talking about for retraining, or extended weeks, where they put the additional 13 weeks on the 26. And that's actually fairly common based upon industries, too, across the United States. But nothing to the degree it's going on now. But on the other hand, in my lifetime anyway, nothing has been as dramatic. I know that when the first oil embargo came through in 1973, it was a shock to the system, and a lot of people were laid off. And in fact, the outfit I worked for at that time had about 20 people, and by the time we got into 1975, it was down to 3, and I happened to be fortunate to be one of those 3. And during that period of time, there was retraining benefits, back to school benefits, but nothing like extra cash in your pocket, which is happening right now. And then, in the early 80s, when interest rates, went up to 8-12%, and the lumber industry basically collapsed, it were targeted help. I mean, I was in Missoula, Montana at the time, and basically the mills were closing down because there was no home building going on. And inflation was rampant at that point in time, too. But nowhere near the same degree. That's a good spot where the state in that particular case extended benefits out the additional 13 weeks. But nothing like the stimulus stuff that's going on now. I remember, I think in 2000, help me out here, I want to say 2002 maybe, when the dot-com bubble broke. There was some help there. You remember where you could trade it in the old junker regardless of whether it ran or not?
Oh, yeah. Cash for cars.
Yeah. But there again, that was a very limited scope program. These programs are so widespread and help so many people that it's mind-boggling. It really is. So, I think, Barney, I was thinking about some of your comments, and one of the things you were saying is you work from home, except for, I believe, 1 day a week.
I'm working at home at least 4 days a week right now.
Right. And that in itself is a transition. I don't know if it's like this, but for you, my son's been working at home, and they started transitioning back into the office this Monday. And what the outfit he works for found out was, well, maybe we ought to leave this as an option, especially for families that are dual income families. And because that's kind of what him and his wife have done is she's working from home and he's working from home, but if they're both being called back in, they still don't have daycare because daycare's not available yet. And so both employers are allowing them to kind of work their schedules. And the other thing on my son's case, because we talk about it a lot, is the efficiencies actually have increased when working at home, because the focus is, if you're the right person working from home, the focus is so much more dramatic. So I think you're going to end up seeing a whole different structure in the way people do things. I think flex time, what I used to call flex time, is going to become more prevalent. I know that JC said his boss was really suspicious of it because he was the old 8 to 5, punch a time clock type thing. And if you're not doing that, you're not working. And he's really having his eyes open too, with a whole different generation of people that don't necessarily need that structure. But they need structure to help them get their job done. And a lot of that is technology. So I think I look at always saying, what's the positive coming out of this? And I think the positive coming out of this is you're going to create a better work environment for a lot of different types of employment. So I don't know, Barney, what are your thoughts on that? What are you seeing out there?
Well, there's no question that the work environment is changed forever. I know just with the Employment Security Department, of which WorkSource is a part, our sibling organization is unemployment insurance. And I think it was the first week in March, we saw a big spike in unemployment claims. We took, I think it was 13 or 14,000 claims, which was bigger than the highest week during our annual peak season, December, January, February, bigger than any we'd seen. That following Monday is when the governor issued his first order. And that week, we saw, I think it was 128,000 claims. So an order of magnitude greater, 10 times the number of claims. At that same time, we started moving, and it took about 2 weeks, about the entire workforce of employment security. So I think that's about 7,000 people went from working in the office to working at home. So all those phone calls, all of those claims being filed, while handling that. And the third week, we saw 182,000 claims. And the fourth week was 178,000 claims. And so all of that was being handled while moving our entire WorkSource from office to their homes.
Wow.
Well, just think of the logistical nightmare that creates. I mean, and not only not everybody has the same capabilities from working at home, and I don't know what the state did to support that, but just the sheer paperwork. I mean, just the sheer processing. And I know that you read a fair number of things where people are unhappy with this and unhappy with that, but the issue that I find is the people that become more flexible and I'll pick on filing for claims. And what I mean by more flexible is get out of this 9-to-5 type mentality and look at, different off hours and things like that, and be prepared. Really, they still struggle a little bit, but nowhere near somebody that has an entitlement expectation of, when I pick up that phone, somebody better be answering it on the other end. And so, I'm speaking from the outside in here, Barney, but I believe, and I have to give ASD a phenomenal kudo, because to be able to handle that's unreal. And I've been on, I don't know, it seems like 100 conference calls since this thing started, of which at least 3 of them had the ESD, and I can't remember the lady's name that's in charge of that. But on there, and did you say something, Barney?
Yeah, Susie Levine is our commissioner.
Right. And very honest in the conference calls, very straightforward. I didn't get a sense that there was any smoke screens at all trying to hide something that wasn't happening. And I think that's what people appreciated. And I know that, the people that say, well, I've been waiting 50 days for my unemployment, are the people that get the press, but the people that don't get the press are the other 10,000 that did get taken care of. So anyway. And
I would like to acknowledge that, with that being said, we are processing over 500,000 unemployment claims every single week right now. But with that being said, there are, as of Monday night, there are about 57,000 Washingtonians who have not received unemployment money yet that have filed. And most of those people, not all, but most of them are self-employed, gig economy, so they might drive for Uber or Lyft, or they had a sole proprietorship and had to close their business. And it was announced just yesterday that we're implementing called Operation 100%. Starting this morning, we are turning the vast majority of our claim center staff, people that normally are taking all of these phone calls. We're taking 3,000 to 4,000 phone calls a day. And by the way, we've tripled the number of people taking calls in the same period. We've hired and trained hundreds of people. We are turning the majority of our staff to call these 57,000 people and get their claims worked out. It's going to take time, but that is our top priority, because there are people out there suffering that are desperate. And
traditionally, these are people that could not file for unemployment, from what I understand.
Exactly.
And so it's a whole new system, and it's a whole new system to them, but it's also a whole new system, I would assume, back to the state, because of the qualification issues and trying to get whatever documentation they need is way out of their wheelhouse. And so, and I know that in visiting with my daughter, because she's one of those, she's a self-employed type person, I asked her about that, and she goes, well, I didn't think I could even do that, because she was completely shut down. I said, yeah, you can do that. I mean, no different than the IDL loan. And I mean, some things where traditionally self-employed people were locked out of that now are available to them. So.
Yep, that's correct. And yeah, and again, the programmers that maintain and have built our unemployment system, they had to build an entirely new system to interface with the existing system to account for the new eligibility. And they did that in, I think, 4 weeks. And the system is working. The tasks that have gone on behind the scenes are absolutely phenomenal. And where I am kind of with a little bit of a peek behind the curtain, I'm aware of that, and I am blown away and grateful for these people. But I also know that for those people that have been waiting 6 weeks for adjudication process to go through, they're desperate and they're suffering. And I just want to let everybody know that we are doing everything possible. We are taking extreme measures right now. Like I said, we're shifting 97% of our call staff from taking calls to making calls to following up with these people so that we can get them paid as quickly as possible and make them whole financially as we're able through the unemployment insurance program. These are just, the word is so overused, but these are truly unprecedented times that we're in. And the steps that we're having to take in every level of our society is just mind-boggling.
So, Barney,
it's hard.
My daughter is on unemployment, and I don't know if you're aware that this went out too, and you're talking about your phone calls that are going to be going on. She got a notification from unemployment that says, please do not call during these dates, because we are transitioning to the outbound calling to get all these people that haven't got their unemployment yet. So there's actually been a letter going out to people that are on it saying, don't bug us. We need to help the people that aren't on it. So that's cool too. And then I don't know if you caught this morning, if you had a chance to look at the news, but the House Democrat new $3 trillion bill that's coming up it says it will extend the ensuring the weekly $600 federal unemployment payments will continue through January 2021.
Wow.
Yeah. So, well, whether it passes or not remains to be seen, but that is one of the things in the next one that's coming up. So,
yeah, and who knows what that final bill is going to look like once it goes through the Senate, and
sure,
who knows? There's a long way to go, but there is certainly the intent to help people and to keep people whole, because, ultimately, and this is my personal opinion, not me as a state employee or anything like that, but just, looking at my neighbors that I know in and around Chewelah and Stevens County in general, I'd much rather them be able to put food on their table and a roof over their head. That's more important to me than darn near anything else. And so I just, my heart goes out to so many people that are truly suffering, and we're doing all we can.
All right.
And hopefully,
So Barney, I'm going to put you on the spot here. I know you're kind of a challenges creates opportunities, the glass is half full type of guy. So what do you see as some positives of what's the outcome of what we're dealing with today?
well, yeah, I think part of it is it's too soon to really tell, because we're still right in the middle of it. I suspect we're in like mile 3 of the 26-mile marathon, to be honest. We've got a long way to go, because, they say that for herd immunity, for anything to kick in, that you need 70% of the population to be exposed to it. And, Stevens County has 45,000 residents roughly. That's over 31,000 people. We've got 9 confirmed cases. We got a long way to go. But with that being said, I think some possible, upside from this is it's become even more critical, more obvious that broadband access in this area is horribly lacking. I know that Deb Hansen at the WSU Extension, who leads the Stevens County and Spokane Tribe Broadband Action Team, they are now the pilot program for the State Broadband Commission. And so if you go to, I think it's the WSU Extension, there's a link to do a speed test, and they're collecting data. They're trying like the dickens to get more funding for broadband access. And the more broadband we can get, the more opportunity we're going to have for online schooling, for people to move to this area and work from home. There are going to be a lot more work from home opportunities. And right now, the Tri-County area in general, that's a real challenge because internet is so difficult. So I think raising that awareness and increasing access to that could be a positive for us. I think that there's possible silver lining opportunity as people right now are quite literally being paid to sit at home. It's an opportunity to kind of take a deep breath and evaluate, okay, what do I want to do? And like I said before, WorkSource, we are here to help you answer that question. And then also, assuming you qualify, we can pay for schooling. We can, if not all of it, but certainly a big chunk of it. If you want to go into nursing or the IT world or get certified as a bookkeeper or an accountant, those are still probably not a CPA, that's a degree. But anyway, different things. We're here to help and support and help people to make their lives better. And so I'm sure there are going to be more silver linings as we come through this that we can't even imagine right now. But those are a couple things that popped to my head right out of the gates.
Okay. So what's the number one thing people can do to help you do your job better?
Well, we just need people that are interested in any of these programs. I've touched on it. If you're interested in learning a new skill, a new career, a CDL, that sort of thing, call us. 685-6158 is the WorkSource office number. If we don't answer, we're on the phone with someone else, and leave us a message, and I promise we'll get back to you. Normally people just walk in. Well, we can't do that right now, so we're coming up with ways to reach out, hence why I reached out to you yesterday, Mike, and when you said tomorrow morning, I was like, I need to get my act together. We're going to be sending, I'm working on templates for emails that we're going to be sending out to folks on the unemployment list. So if you're getting unemployment and have an email address, here in the next few days or week, it's got to go through an approval process, yada, yada, yada. You'll be getting an email from us. Check us out on Facebook, WorkSource Colville. On Facebook, we've got information, ways to reach out to us there. And for businesses, great and small, also, same numbers, 685-6158. Reach out to us. We've got resources. Our small local businesses are the heart and soul of Stevens County and the whole Tri-County area. And we need to do all we can to ensure that they make it through this. And I understand that, these closures, these restrictions have been absolutely crippling. And if there's anything we can do to help as we come out of this and things open up, absolutely reach out to us. And we may not be the ones that have the resources, but we'll do everything we can to get you in touch with the right people. Please do not hesitate to call. Again, we are at 685-6158. I feel like a late night infomercial spitting out that phone number. But it's important. And
a lot of employers want to bring their employees back, and I know in the restaurant industry, Mike, this is going to change. I imagine since they can open and have seating, they're going to be bringing some of their employees back to meet that. And it was a couple weeks ago, I was talking to a restaurant owner, and I said, "Is this kind of like simplified your life and made things easier?" He tilted his head and he said, "No, it's absolutely horrid. I want my employees back, and I want my people back in my restaurant." He goes, "I want to see bodies." He goes, "It's like trying to work in a morgue."
Yeah.
He says, "I want it back. I want my employees back, and I want people here. It's the energy's gone." Is the term he used? Yeah.
Our local restaurants are. It's not where we go eat. We don't go there for food. We go there for community and for connections, and we as a culture do that around food. And I know that I'm sure every local restaurant in the world, for that matter, you've got your crew of regulars, and they become like family. And that's what I mean when I say these small businesses and restaurants are right in the middle of that. Are the heart and soul. Our communities.
I don't know what our local Mexican restaurant is going to do, because I'm so used to walking through the door and getting a hug.
Yeah, exactly.
What am I going to do? All right. So, Barney, have we missed anything you wanted to go out? One thing I thought to touch on in case somebody rejoined us was definitely that you've got that. Go over one more time for the businesses. You've got the program that can pay half of somebody's salary, right? Explain that one more time. Somebody just joined us.
So that is on-the-job training program that we've got. So if you're bringing a new employee on that, goes through a training regimen, if you will, we can reimburse the employer directly for up to 50% of their wages for up to 6 months. And, all that goes right to the bottom line. And, there some qualifications that, we'll look at on a case-by-case basis. And, you can't do that for 6 months, fire them, and get someone else and plug them in the program. The intent is that they are a long-term employee. But, that's a great program that we offer for these businesses. And, we will help you find the employees as well. It's more than just a job posting. We've got, it's called Pruvit Testing, and I have 12 or 1,300 tests that we can have people go through, from software to accounting and healthcare and all that stuff.
Find out what their skills are.
If you're looking for a paralegal, all sorts of stuff to help narrow down the selection. And again, all of this is free to the employer. There is no cost. And I got a phone call yesterday from someone that's looking to open a business in Pend Oreille County, north of Newport. And as I've been sitting here, I've already gotten a couple of emails from this fellow, and we're going to be helping him find some skilled labor. He's looking for equipment operators, a couple of experienced, skilled equipment operators. Well, I think we probably have one or two of those floating around in this part of the world.
All right,
so,
Mike, do you have any final questions for Barney?
Well, I don't really have a question, but I have a statement that Barney just touched on briefly just a minute ago, is the aspect or the idea that an employer can use Pruvit Testing as part of their interviewing process, to me, is phenomenal. And Barney, and if I'm out of turn here, holler, but I think we talked about this once before, that one of the more challenging parts of interviewing somebody for a position is looking into their background to see where their skill level is, because, it falls anywhere from compensation to where they place inside their business. And I can tell you, in my prior life, we did Pruvit Testing on any position that was an administrative position or a support position, and those services were not free by any means. So Barney, if I'm heard you correctly, Pruvit Testing is still there. So if I'm looking for a bookkeeper, for instance, which I'm not, Alyssa, if you're listening, and I wanted somebody with QuickBooks experience, then I could basically filter that through you, because you'd already have the resource available through people that have that. Or if I've got somebody, I could send them through WorkSource for not only on-the-job training, if that's appropriate, but also Pruvit Testing to give me their actual skill level with QuickBooks. Is that kind of it in a nutshell?
In a nutshell, yeah. So, and it's like, what version of QuickBooks do you use? Have you not updated it in 10 years? No problem. We've got access to that specific version. So it gets really granular. You can really dial it into what skills you're looking for. And what we recommend is that, employers narrow it down to, 3, 4, maybe 5 candidates, and have them, come in and do the testing. If you've got, 3 that are comparable, that, wow, it's really close, I just don't know who to choose, and say, okay, well, prove it. Go take this Quickbooks test. And these are all put together and administered by IBM. And comes out, and you've got someone that scores a 90 and two people that score 60. Well, that makes the decision pretty easy.
Right.
All things being, if not equal, comparable. They've already got the skill set. Or if you get three people that all score 90, well, you know what? You can't make a bad decision.
Okay. Well, I appreciate the reach out, actually, Marty, because I know that I haven't really given a lot of thought to trying to figure out somebody on the radio show on Wednesday mornings, because I'm so ingrained into having to take a look at them and Scott at the same time.
Yeah.
And then this teleconference thing is a little bit new to everybody, but the reach out was well appreciated, and I think WorkSource has got a lot to offer. And if I wrote that number down right, it's 685-6158.
You're good.
And well, I wrote it down. At my age, sometimes you transcribe numbers or forget them pretty quick. But
yeah, I'm with you.
So, is there anything final, Scott, you want to add, or Barney want to add?
I don't, but Barney, closing thoughts.
I was just going to thank you both for the opportunity to reach out to your listeners. I'll WorkSource, Colville, we are here to help everyone and anyone. And if you have questions, don't hesitate to call 685-6158. And we're getting a lot of questions about unemployment. We're not the unemployment folks, but we will do everything we can to help. We've got received some additional training just because we knew we were going to be getting calls. And if we don't know the answer, we'll tell you. Please give us a call, and we'll do everything in the world to help that we can.
All right. And you've got another, I guess, department there, because you called employment security like your sister. You've got another department there, maybe just to point out, you've got a whole a gentleman there that strictly works to help veterans with their unemployment benefits, correct?
Brandon Harding is his name. He's our veteran representative, and we actually have a regional fellow that works with tribal veterans named Larry Allen, who just started with us late last fall. And they work, and it's not with necessarily unemployment, but they work with veterans to find employment.
Okay.
For those veterans. And so, if you are a veteran and have any sort of barrier that you're facing, anywhere from just needing a job to homelessness to substance issues, reach out. Brandon and Larry are just amazing human beings, and put their heart and soul into what they do. And please, thank you so much for bringing that up, because we have a big veterans population, and I'm embarrassed that I failed to bring that up.
That's all right. Sometimes I stay on top of it. Occasionally. All right, one more time for you, Mr. Barney Brockwell. Thanks for everything you do. Thanks for being here this morning and all the hard work you do at WorkSource to help people. Round of applause for Barney Brockwell. All right.
Thank you. Appreciate it, and enjoy a rainy day.
All right. And you, driving around the county, that one day you're going to work, remember it's 102.7.
It is preset number 4 on my radio.
Excellent. We love to hear that. All right, Barney.
We want preset number 1.
Yeah. Yeah, who is number 1, Barney? I got a problem again now.
It's just in ascending order.
Okay.
I'm a little bit OCD, so they have to be in sequential order.
Okay. All right. Well, you have a great day and keep up the good work.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah, all right.
Yep, appreciate it, Barney. Thanks.
All right. One more time, round of applause, Barney Brockwell. All right, me and Mike, we got about 20 minutes left. We're going to do a quick break, and then we are going to come back and say goodbye to you and have a couple more things. Stay right here. It's Northern Lights Public Radio. We are KCHW, Chihuahua.